everyone, and welcome back to Voices of Countercurrents, the podcast where we dive into the fascinating differences and surprising overlaps between Russian and American culture. I'm Paulina, joining you from Stavropol.
And I'm Alexander, speaking from the US. Each episode, we explore how our two cultures think, feel, and express themselves, from everyday habits to big social questions.
Today's topic is one that crosses borders and generations: relationships. This is our third episode in this series, and we are looking at how love, dating, and the partnership look in Russia and the USA.
We'll talk about things like arranged marriages. Do they still happen? How do people handle intercultural or interfaith relationships? Is it normal for women to make the first move? And how are LGBTQ plus relationships perceived and evolving?
Plus, we will take a little peek into the future. What might relationship look like in our countries 10 years from now?
Let's jump right in.
Let's do it. Okay. Last episode was almost caught into
Yes, I
the
believe we were discussing arranged marriages in India. That was the last question that I dived into.
yeah. And I have something to say. We we talked about arranged marriages here and in the USA, and still they look a little bit different. Because what I've noticed about India, that people there, I met like a number of situation like that, that people dating with they might date actually culturally, and or I mean even between different religious confession. And then, for example, let's say Hindu and Muslim, they date each other, or Catholic and Hindu, and then they come to the point of marriage, and then da 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 da. No one is ready, which was obvious from the beginning, and just like I personal, I personally myself know two people who are suffering. And maybe right now already somehow got over this situation, maybe not, but who are suffering from this exactly. And they are right in the moment when they were dating for certain number of years, and it's usually not one or two or three. Yeah, it's like one guy was dating for 8 years, and then they came to the point of marriage, and of course everyone is against what
Wow,
they.
8 years. That's quite a
Yes,
period of
yes, yes,
time for just waiting.
exactly. So and then they have to go into arranged marriage, and in most cases what I've heard, they go like they I don't know how they do this. I mean, it looks like they did it in a very easy way, like jump into it without thinking about the past. Uh, and in most cases, I mean, but two situations which I met, they're struggling because they were in love, they had feelings, and if we talk about speaking about intercultural, interfaith marriages, and arranged marriages, then the difference is that they do date before, for a long time, and then they go, because here, if we speak in Russia about arranged marriages, then it means that the girl is virgin and she's from Caucasus. She just directly from her family moves to another family, and that's it. And like the show is over. But there, especially in big cities, I mean, speaking about India right now, in big cities everything goes in a different way. Like all of a sudden, arranged, boom boom boom. Why? Like you now already following a kind of modern tactics, yes, modern things, and then all of a sudden back to tradition. And tradition, how does it, I mean, and of course it's not gonna mm, exist. I mean, it's not gonna be alive, these marriages, I guess, because divorces are becoming already common thing in India too. So this is a kind of surprising thing. What about arranged marriages in the USA? That's, I think, the same like you were talking about Utah, yes, state. This is the same like in Caucasus, right? Am I right?
Similar, not quite to the same degree. I would say that the group that is most similar to your very particular Caucasian cultural types like Chechnya or Dagestan would be the Hutterites or the Amish or people like this who quite literally, in some senses, either shut themselves away from mainstream society or they deal with mainstream society, but at a very much an arm's length. And they almost never marry outside of whatever their general stream is, even to this day in 2025.
Mm-hmm. So does it, it means that they don't date, right? Like I explained about India, right?
No, I think they do date. That's the one distinct difference between here and
Ah.
over there. Here, no one will dream because this is a land of much greater freedom, after all.
Mhm.
Here, no one will dream of forcing you to marry somebody that you literally don't know. However, um, there are very strict rules by which it will be conducted.
Mhm. I see. I see. Yeah. Um, but there, I am surprised that you know everyone knows that. I mean, I think everyone knows in India that the tradition is very strict, and no one will allow this marriage, but they still do. And this a special situation which I describe in my small story about the guy who was dating for 8 years. This is for me like overwhelming. Like you they were mostly yeah, they were already like husband and wife. He is Catholic who lives in Goa, and she's Hindu also live there, and they were like husband and wife, um, and then they finally decided to ask their parents if they're okay, and the parents were strictly against, and so they broke up. And I met him at the point of very much struggling and trying to get over this relationship, while the girl was already in another one. I mean, she moved. And this is for me quite interesting. How could it be like that if you know from the beginning, and if you mm, if you start this type of relationship, then you must be ready to do everything. I mean, to move to another country, to be against your parents, to do whatever is necessary to make this relationship work. That's my point of view. Or if you are not so brave to go against your parents, why do you start this from the beginning? That's uh, that's a big question for me, still in my mind.
Especially in India, given the context of Hindu-Muslim relations, which has never been good on that subcontinent. There's a military history stretching back centuries of warfare between those of the Hindu faith and those of the Muslim faith. Not going to go into all that here, but definitely there's always tension there. And I'm actually quite surprised when I would hear, if I hear, about Muslims and Hindus dating.
Oh,
It surprises me much more than in any other
no,
cultural
no, no, no,
context.
no. The one which I told you that was Catholic and Hindu, but another
Yeah.
one which I know, this is also very close to me. He is Muslim, she is Hindu, and of course, her parents is more against than his. That's interesting that the Hindu resist. more than other confessions in India, or not even, usually Islam very much against, I know, and usually more like maybe fanatic or strict about this, yeah. But in this case, Hindu, and the moment
Well, in this
I
case, I can explain that. It's all about uh, domination. If I can go into some dangerous territory here for a moment on the podcast, the male, whichever side is the male, is seen as the socially dominant one. And so
Mm.
if he takes a wife of another confession, he in a way conquers her. So nobody wants to submit their daughters to the man of another faith or ethnicity. And this is an automatically a kind of a defensive thing.
Yes, yes, yes. I think so. I think so because any kind of meeting which I had with Muslim guys, they always were trying, even subtly, in subtle way, to convert me. Like for example, it was not like, okay, if you want to be with me, you go and just like start doing namaz or something, like start praying or something.
Yes.
No, it was always like, in a way, like, listen, I brought you some books. And then, oh, okay, what are the books? Oh, this is Quran, and for example, some other um, books like how to do a pray, how to pray and everything. And it was always in a very gentle, soft way. And it might work for people who don't have a ground. Yeah, but I am what is it? I'm deeply orthodox person, and I'm very much satisfied with what I have and with the confession where I was born, and which I was born in. And so I am not, I don't aspire to change anything at all. This is actually the answer for, like, we all brought up already. Next question, like intercultural, interfaith relationship. And I'm right now talking about not an international relationship, but a relationship inside my country, because we have, for example, I live in a region uh, where a lot of Caucasian people, and among Caucasian people, if you know that there is only one nationality which is Orthodox. That's the partly Orthodox, because their religion is still a little bit different. They are Ossetians, but other like Lezgin, Chechens, Ingush, um, Dagestan, Karachais. They all, Dagestan, that's a place. I mean, but Karachais, Kabardins, they all Muslim. And of course, sometimes you meet someone from this, I mean, um, confession, and sometimes you are trying to build something, and this situation goes into this kind of um, uh, relationship. Do you have something like that in the USA?
Well, the USA is in its own way the United Nations. It is probably the most multicultural society that has ever existed in history unto this point in time. There's literally much resembling the United Nations Council, someone to be found from everywhere in the world, especially in certain areas like New York City, Chicago, or Los Angeles, places like these. So we certainly have plenty of intercultural dating opportunities if that is what one is interested in. And indeed, given the chaotic nature of social change in which we live, when each of us is looking for a partner, it may come in a format which surprises us. And the predictable sources of partnership, if I can use such terminology,
Mm-hmm.
may not be the ones that supply you with such a partner. And you may find yourself as you move through your life here, meeting people of different denominations and backgrounds, ethnic, religious, etc., who are actually a good match for you in terms of personality, even if they are not in the most convenient origins, shall we say.
Mhm.
I myself, right now, I've been going out on a couple of dates with one woman who is from El Salvador and then another woman who is from Iran. And that's very much the way Los Angeles is. You never know who you're going to meet.
Mhm. And how does it work there? I think those people are more ready to any kind of intercultural, yes, communication and marriages later. Yes, there won't be a
It
problem.
it depends actually on the where exactly they are from. Um, in general, I would say people from Central America, like Mexico, El Salvador, these types of countries, they're very open-minded because they're very much a mixed population anyway, due to the history that they've had. Although there are various sociological complexities, of course, within those societies. People from Iran, it depends, I've noticed, on who you are meeting, their education level, their language level, um, what their subset is. There are different religions in Iran. There are Zoroastrian, there are Muslim, there are even different ethnicities in Iran. There are Arabs, there are the classic Persians who give the nation state of Iran its basic structure. There are Azeri Turks, and I think there are a couple of others that I cannot recall. I think they even maybe have some Lezgi people there as well. But the general theme that I've noticed with Iranian people that I've known in the course of my life, there's always been lots of Iranian people. My best friend growing up for a few years when I was a child was Iranian. In general, a lot of them of a certain set try to marry only within their own ethnicity, but then others are extremely open-minded and even seek on purpose to marry outside of their ethnicity. So there seems to be very little middle ground. Usually it's one extreme or the other.
Mhm.
And other ethnicities and cultural groups, they have their own gradations. But in general, people who come to the United States, whether they come there with that intention or not, because of the way the society works here, unless they have an extremely tightly knit social or ethnic network, they will eventually, even if it's after one generation, become mixed in with or marry somebody else.
Yeah, that's definitely. Do you have in your surrounding, in your close circle, people who are married intercultural? Because I have, for example, I have one girl who's married with an Indian guy, and they live in Moscow, and that's I think the happiest um family. Um, which you know, and they interestingly that they don't go into the conflicts because of religion, maybe because both of them, as I noticed, they are not deep enough into their own religions. So neither the girl nor the guy, and they somehow manage to do it like like for example in their house they can have images of let's say elephants. I mean, and as a god, and at the same time icons, and this is somehow lives together in their house and works together. So no one, what is it? They don't have arguments about it, and no one question the other. But uh, in my encounters which I had in my life, yeah, there's always like, maybe because I'm a more passionate person, and they always question myself, my religion, and try to prove me that I'm wrong. And which, of course, from the beginning, make a conflict, yeah, build a conflict. So do you know anyone who lives in this already, have already this family?
I have known, given my location and everything that I've said about the United States already, I have known many people throughout my life who were in a variety of such relationships, probably anything, any particular pairing that you can imagine. And I've also known those who are quite the opposite. I've had close contacts with a particular German community that sources in South America for a number of years since I was a teenager, and similar to, say, for example, Chechen people or something like this, they never marry out, and if they ever do, it's only to a very um, carefully selected, highly bred, if I can use such terminology, outsider. They're very selective about it if they ever do.
Mhm.
So my experiences here run from one side of the aisle to the other.
I see. Okay, let's go to the next question. Is it normal for women to make the first move? I think your answer would be yes, right?
Yes, it is normal, but not every woman does it. I would say that most women do not necessarily do so, not in a direct way, at least. And it also depends very much on the culture. I'll use my two recent dating experiences as an example.
Yes,
Um,
please.
the Iranian woman that I have been on a couple of dates with, she, of course, did not make the first move. Women in that culture in general are not quite oriented that way. I met her on the floor of a conference that I was attending, and I thought she looked attractive and intelligent. And so I went up and I started a conversation, and away we went from there. Uh, the Latin American woman that I've been on a couple of dates with from El Salvador, it was actually the other way around. She approached me and we had a fabulous conversation, and she actually suggested that we exchange numbers, not the other way around. So
Mhm.
different cultures are accustomed to different standards.
Yeah, uh-huh. I guess so. Here in Russia, people usually I mean, it's even expected, and if guys know this also, that girls will be waiting for the first move, and guys know this. That's already
Yeah.
like quite clear. And sometimes I meet young guys which will be very much, against this, like, or like. Trying to think why always they are waiting for me to write them first and everything. Recently, I talked to one like that, but that's a cultural thing. I think that's um, what I've noticed about India. This is even quite normal for women to make a first move. This is what I've seen,
That really
especially in
surprised me when you
in
said
big
that.
cities.
That really surprised me when you said that for the first time.
I mean, I'm speaking about girls uh, from big cities. Of course, not girls from the rural area. Then they are no way, of course. But um, I think those girls who have education, high education. I mean, graduated universities, and they are rich, and they feel very free, and they do whatever they want. Okay.
That's still amazing, though, given a place like India, because India has such an aura to those who have not lived there. or have directly experienced it, of being such an ultra conservative place. But the reality is more complex.
Yeah, absolutely. When I told you before that, or my friend, which is actually married with an Indian guy, she said like, of course, in India everyone is married, no one, no divorces. A very traditional country. And when I came there, I was expected to see this, but reality showed another thing. Absolutely. Maybe it's because I lived in Goa, and Goa is a very special place itself, but still, from another big cities like Goa, is just a place where all these crosses. Yeah, I mean, people from different big cities come and they bring their let's say vibe, which is a very famous word in India. Like everyone uses this. They bring their vibe, and this vibe is very much about freedom, and this is definitely so. So we have the last question to discuss here, and about 4 minutes for that. Okay. How are LGBTQ plus relationship perceived and evolving? That I think we won't have enough time to discuss this such a big question. I will say from the beginning, in Russia, it's let's say um, no, and in most cases that's a very much mm, criticized, and um, maybe it exists, but not without much, let's say, advertisement. Yes, it's somewhere exists underground. Yeah, but in most cases, it's perceived very in a very negative way, very even among young people. That's also so. So, what is there? Tell us.
Well, as you may imagine, for a long time, such relationships have been regarded in major cities as being, for the most part, totally normal. And indeed, the society in general instructs us all that we must accept these things. And it
Hmm.
was that way up until very recently, with the two administrations of President Donald Trump, who
Yeah.
has started amazingly to turn many things on their head. And I'm not, of course, going to get into the politics or all of this stuff because emotions have actually been running very high about all of these things. And I want to keep the politics out of this podcast, and I'm sure you share my position on that. But
Definitely.
there is there is a very high current that is now moving the other way, and it's very interesting to observe just what a complex society this can be, where you can literally find large swaths of the population that have all kinds of belief systems that you wouldn't imagine are there. You think America is this, oh, but then this volcano, metaphorically speaking, erupts over here and is releasing all this energy. And the outside observer can go, well, where did that come from? I didn't know that was there. I thought America was all like this. And apparently it's not. So I would say that now it's very stratified. There are jurisdictions like the city where I live where such relationships are totally normal and society dictates they must be accepted and even celebrated over the benefits of what we would consider to be heterosexual normative relationships. Indeed, what most of the globe would still regard as being such. And then other jurisdictions, such as perhaps Utah or Texas or various states in the Deep South, where such things have always been frowned upon. And even during the most liberal periods of recent American political history, such things were never accepted. in these more conservative jurisdictions.
Alexander, now I'm just wondering right now, listening to you and wondering, um, don't you have any quite, I mean, strange, I mean, acquaintance around you from these communities? Uh, is, for example, me myself, I haven't got any friend, and I just know like someone, this the friend of someone, she is might be, or he is might be, but I don't have anyone to say that 100% this person belongs to any kind of communities like that. Don't you have?
Well, I don't really have anyone in particular that I can point to in most of my life. I've known people down through the years that have been part of this community. It's almost inevitable that you have people like this passing through your life when you live in the United States because everyone is very open about this sort of thing, especially in certain cities and jurisdictions. At the moment, I only have one person in my life who can be described as being, I suppose, in some way a part of this community. She is would consider herself to be bisexual,
Mhm.
and I think body dysmorphic, meaning that they also feel that they are in the wrong body and that they belong in another body.
What did you call
And
it? Body dysmorphic?
yes, yes, where you have a form of feeling that you are not as you should be in your own body, that you should have been
Mhm.
born into another body. And this is what the a lot of the people who change their gender, they're referred to as transgenders. This is what a lot of those people go through or experience. And so this person is a very dear person to me in some ways. Very good, kind, caring soul. Um, they also have this other side to them that personally I cannot relate to. I can only offer compassion as best as I can and be the best friend that I can. But this is the only person that I know at this point in my life. It's not terribly common. It's the media makes it seem like it's every other person is
Yeah,
gay or
absolutely. Yeah.
something, and it's really not such a high demographic of the population.
But
I don't think.
I see. But do you see on the streets, for example, like when you observe weddings, like oh, like just a witnesser, do you see anything like, I mean, weddings of two guys, or have you ever encountered?
I have never been to a same-sex wedding. I've
Mhm.
never, I don't really see them much. I
Mhm.
do see here where I live quite a few couples where they're like men living together or women living together, especially women living together where one woman looks more like a man and the other woman
Mhm.
looks more feminine like a woman. I do see that from time to time around here. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of neighbors who would fit that description.
Mhm.
Um, but apart from that, no, it's not. I never see any huge weddings like that. I don't
Mhm.
think most of these people get married very much. I think there was a whole um, thing some years ago
Do you think it's
about gay marriage here.
just for younger generation, just the one which is haven't decided which side they to take or something like that? Not for mature people mostly, yeah? Is that your point, right? That's why no marriages actually.
I don't, I think in general, it's really more, it's not such a, crucial part of their character to get married because, after all, such unions usually do not produce children unless they adopt.
Hmm. Hmm.
And all of that is very fraught with difficulties, and it's an incredible maze to go through. And I again, the danger is with this question is to get too far into politics, which I don't want to do here.
No, we
But
don't.
yeah, it creates incredible social complexities. It creates incredible social complexities when you start talking about this particular community uh, getting married and adopting children in exactly the same way as a straight couple would. You start to see um, everybody wants to be accepted as exactly the same as everyone else, and yet at the same time, they want to be different. So you end up playing musical chairs with your own mind and going around in circles
Hmm.
with these various social concepts. And that's about as pointed a comment as I'm comfortable making here. But it's a very, very interesting phenomenon, and it creates a lot of social complexity. But I don't believe it's as overwhelmingly common as media may make it seem to our listeners abroad, and even seem to many people here.
Uh, while you were speaking, another question was born in my mind. Um, when I first came to Israel, I would just notice that some guys, I've seen guys for some reasons, not girls. They were showing up. I mean, that they are together in a public transport, in a public places, and I felt that moment that the more I see, the more they show up. And that was for me very embarrassing situation, and at the same time interesting, because as I told you, um, if we have something like that in my country, um, no one will be showing it, and no one will be trying to mm, promote it somehow. Yeah, as you said, celebrate it um,
Mm.
so publicly. Even if it happens somewhere under ground, that's what I want to say. And of course, I want to ask you, uh speaking about America, where everything is like free and these communities are accepted, so how often do you see expressions of this, I mean, love in public?
Well, PDA, as it's referred to, public display of affection, is for the most part just fine, and nobody is going to bother you about it here at all. I don't know how it is in Russia or India, but basic kissing, hand holding, close walking with an arm wrapped around the other person. This is all quite normal here. Um, when it comes to uh, gay or lesbian social public display of affection,
Mm,
it happens. I've seen it before, but only in measure with the number of people that are actually members of that community,
mm,
which is
mhm,
not something I see very often.
mhm,
Um, Usually, America is a funny society. It's a funny society. Uh, I was kissing someone last night, and she got a little nervous because there were like some other people walking by along the beach uh, outside of the restaurant, which was by the ocean shore.
so romantic
Mm.
place you have chosen for that.
Yeah. And she was a little nervous because, oh, you know, they're watching us, and I was like, who cares? Who cares? You know. So we have this interesting thing in America where everything is very open, but at the same time, way back in American history, you have a strong religious purity type of mindset. So it's like the American attitude to these things can be kind of schizophrenic. It's like people are comfortable with being totally open, but at the same time, they squeal and giggle with when there's like a lot of there's anything that's too daring. More so probably than in a place like Israel or in Europe. I don't know. I don't know. This is the impression that I get.
Mm.
Other places may actually be even more comfortable than certain parts of America is when it comes to these types of things.
Mm.
But
Interesting.
yeah, it's definitely always a mixed experience here socially.
Can I add something about PDA since you mentioned India? That's a very specific thing that in India, I mean, we already spoken about kind of sexual revolution, which is in a progress right now. But what is interesting about this country, but that no one will kiss publicly. No one will hold the hands publicly. And this is 100%. They do this a lot, but they cover it. And they might do it more than people do in Russia. Like my impression that they do more. They are more, I don't know, maybe because of this nature, sun, hot weather. I feel that uh, they have more of this passion than here in Russia, but they never show up. They never. They always cover it, even to touch like the person. By the hands, to keep the hand, to hold the hand is not good. So say nothing about kissing. I never kissed. I had a boyfriend there, but we never kissed publicly there. So this is very specific about India. Definitely. I don't know. Does it help to keep tradition? As I see, no, absolutely. At some points, I feel like it should help, yeah, but it doesn't. I feel like I mean, girls more free, feel more free there than in Russia. And also, I
I
wanted to, uh,
can I
yeah.
can I ask you, Polina? It
Yeah.
seems to me that Russia has different sides to it, however. I've encountered people who are from places like Moscow and St. Petersburg, and they behave in a way that is extraordinarily liberal. I think very different from, say, Stavropol or the Caucasus.
Hmm. No, definitely, yeah, yeah, definitely. You can meet people from different paths, and of course, they will show you different uh, behavior patterns. But see, for example, of course, for example, we are talking like, do you have friends, gays or lesbians? Or you say, no, I also don't have. And among my friends also, they don't have such friends. Um, just I think it's just because I am the center of my own universe, let's say like that. Of course, I surrounded myself with the people who are kind of similar to me, yeah, kind of they have the same values, of course.
VIP.
Yes, and but also say objectively, yeah, say objectively, I think in most cases, you won't meet. I mean, in big cities, that's a very special community, where is everything allowed. And of course, you can meet very interesting people there. I know a lot from Russia who I am not proud at all to be to know, or to be with in the same country. Yeah, but general. I mean, we are trying to speak, I think, about majority. And for example, also. If we recently discussed with my friend, like, do you have like a lesbian friend? Like, would you, if the girl is fine but she's lesbian? And we kind of agreed with her. This is my best friend. She said, no, I wouldn't, because I don't know how to accept her. I don't understand this, and I would feel awkward. I wouldn't like justify her. That would be like not really truly friendship with from the soul. I don't know how
Mhm.
to pray about her if I go to church, for example. I don't know how to feed her in my world. And this was like partly my words, partly her words. That's, I mean, it's not just her words, it's just my words too. We absolutely at the same line, at the same point in terms of this. And most of my friends, I would say that I have very good girls around myself, very decent, innocent, and they would say approximately around the same, about this. Yeah. Do you want to add something?
Well, I can only say that I share some of your views in that, I mean, I'm open, of course. In a society like the one in which I live, you have to be open and friendly and kind towards pretty much everyone, unless they're unkind to you. However, yes, I do tend to keep my distance from such uh, subcultures because I personally do not share anything in common with them. And also, I don't want to, it's like you said, it's kind of an uncomfortable feeling. Like if I'm hanging around a couple of guys who are gay, I have to think to
Hmm.
myself, okay, how are these two looking at me? I hope they're not looking at me like that. I mean, it's kind of an uncomfortable thing.
Let's
Yeah. So
pray. Our pray.
yeah, you can put
Yeah.
yeah. But then of course if these people are in a way they understand what your orientation is and they get it and they're if one or both of them is a good friend to you, then they understand that that's a boundary that should not be crossed, just like you do not cross their boundaries. And I know other people who have a wonderful friendships with these people, and one person is gay and the other is straight, and they both get it, they understand it, and it's no problem. But
Mm.
these are people who tend to be of a more liberal political persuasion. And so that's very easy for them to do.
Hmm. Okay, let us finish this long, three serious episode with a kind of perspective about this, a kind of what is our view about um, young generation. Will marriage still be as important, or will people find new forms of partnership in the following years? What do you think, Alexander?
I can answer this question very definitively. I think that people are finding new forms of partnership, yes, and they're doing so with greater energy than ever before, particularly in my generation. However, I can also definitively say that marriage may become even more important in 10 years from now than it is in the current day when it seems like
Mhm.
it's disappearing. because my generation actually are more conservative than the millennial generation, which came before us.
Mhm.
And we are even more determined to reverse all of what has happened in the world in the last 30 years, many of us. And there's a lot of materials actually now that support this.
Yeah, I think marriages, because they don't exist anymore on a base of like arranged marriage because of social status or some kind of necessity. Yeah, the marriage is right now is just because two people want to stay together, and in terms of this, yeah, I mean, based on this, like, right? Then I think you are absolutely right. I totally agree with your expressions, like right now, that marriage might come even stronger because if people choose to be together, it's just because they really want to be together and not because of survival or needs or social or any kind of pressure, social pressure which can be put. Yeah, but at the same time,
The
I am.
civilians may
Hmm?
actually come into it and actually add to that emotion of choosing to be together. Because when two people need each other, you find that romance blooms. It's an interesting thing in the human psychology. And we are living through very practical times now again, where people are struggling financially, especially the younger generations, and people need to think about the fact that it's not party time in our civilization anymore. Now is a serious time. Now is the time to survive. It's harder than ever to own a home, to own a car, to do all of these basic things, which in the West, at least, were taken for granted by, say, the baby boomers or Generation X or some of these people that are now on the older age brackets. So that in its also will cause a further readoption of a serious
Mm,
attitude towards marriage,
mm.
which I have already seen in other people in my age bracket.
Um, Here I just partly agree because I think what kind of survival it's like we're not in a cave century, you know. All people have if you work, if you do something, you always have food and you have will have roof. Of course, to buy property, yeah, that's a question, another question, but which we are not going to discuss. Uh, but I mean, generally, the level of life, I think, much better if we compare, for example, 100 years before or something.
Oh,
S-
yeah. But people still take you more seriously if you are a married person. I don't know how it is there. I'm sure it's the same way in Russia and in
Absolutely,
India.
of course, of course,
But
of course.
here, even in law, in financial things, people tend to be more. There's many situational incentives to hmm, to be seen as a married person. It's
Mhm.
very interesting. There are tax breaks if you have children. There are things even here in the United States which
Right, but we are
lend you a
not.
certain respectability.
Yes, agree, but still, I mean, still, when there is a choice to be married with the person who you really like, yeah,
Oh yes, of course.
with the same, let's say, benefits, yes, and then just to be with a person who just have these benefits, but you don't like. So I think love marriage. I mean, the marriage because of a certain feeling. That's definitely will take the first place. And
Yes, well, there's a hybrid of the two. Yeah. If people, the interesting thing about society is that if people are having too much fun as a culture, you will see the marriage rate goes down. When life is too easy, people don't take life seriously. But when life is hard enough, but there's still opportunity there, people will take life more seriously,
mhm.
while at the same time taking advantage of the opportunities that are there. is certainly we do not live in desperate survival medieval times anymore. That's certainly not the case. But life is more difficult now than it was 30 years previously, where it was easy
No,
to.
no, that you compare with 30 years, and I am looking at this more broadly. I'm comparing with 100, 200 years. Then that's why we a little bit we can I mean, little bit speaking a little bit differently, because I'm talking about like, yeah, let's say, 20s, 90s century, and that's for me looks absolutely different when the marriage was, was mostly taking or getting out of necessity, pressure, society, money, and everything. So, and I'm speaking about this.
Yeah, because we have a situation now worldwide where the disparity in wealth between the very wealthy and the rest of the world is at its highest point now since it has been since the 19th century or something like this. It's actually quite shocking. And there's a rising income inequality that has taken hold.
Yes,
And
that's true.
technology, interestingly enough, does not seem to be improving this, but rather increasing it in some ways. As many opportunities as it creates, it also creates opportunities. Rather, it destroys some other opportunities and even makes it possible for people to be so regulated in their behavior because they're governed by all these electronic and AI behavior monitors that
Yeah.
they have no flexibility. It's like they're being watched all the time.
Right. I'm also, I am very much concerned. I wouldn't want to finish our episode on this note, but what came to my mind, I'm very much concerned that there are so many single people in the world. Yeah, at some point, yes, we right now we have almost only love marriages, the marriages which people have chosen out of their own decision. Yes, but at the same time, so many people are left somewhere on the side. And this gives me I don't know how to help, because let's say 100 years before, all those people would be pushed to get married by their
Yes,
parents, and it would be at some point have better than this, what we have right now.
it's certainly
I
better
don't
than
know
being left
how
alone.
to
It's
I'm
certainly better than being left alone. Yes.
Right. I don't know how to help this situation at all. If it were in my hands, I would give everyone a solution, but unfortunately, it is not. Uh, so that was such an interesting conversation. I always love seeing how cultural values around love and relationship both clash and connect.
Yes. It's fascinating how something as universal as love can take on so many different forms depending on where you are and how your society sees you.
We would love to hear from our listeners. What do relationships look like where you live? How do culture and tradition shape your experiences?
You can share your thoughts with us on social media or in the comments. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
Thanks for listening to Voices of Countercurrents. See you the
See
next
you next
time.
time.